Good morning, good morning, good morning again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the disclaimers, again, we're shooting through these today because I'm cat sitting, pizza is coming, and I have Silver Dollar City with Mom tomorrow, starting early and going late. So there's not going to really be time to do any of these. I did myself a favor. I didn't actually look at my TL before doing this video. Thank God. Thank God. Because every day I am starting to regret that I ever created a freaking Twitter account. Granted, the two communities I move into, especially the disability community, it's extremely important. But at the same time, being bombarded with the stupid, it starts eating at you. Really does, especially if you're an autistic like myself who relies very heavily on facts and evidence, and you have the world of Twitter trying to tell you that no, facts and evidence don't matter. People's feelings do. If someone accuses someone of something, they're guilty. We don't care about evidence and facts. Yeah, can't do it, folks. Can't do it. All right. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozarks' first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and deaths, just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who's still on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, substantiated by ER documents no less, claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job. And you've got a governor who's off his nut. So, folks, please read that article, share it on all your social media, and for the love of God, send help for the few last people stuck in this hellscape of a GOP hell state that are still stuck here. Also included, of course, all the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including the article that we are reading now, Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollums back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, alright? Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion, we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised, alright? All right, we're going back to the Sara Villa versus the JRC. And it's been, God. This is recent and it is ongoing, folks. So we're going to go to where we left off in the last vid. It's count 1, civil battery, strike to the face. This is in regards to the moment when she was being restrained in the school bus, in spite of the fact that in her IEP, it clearly states that she needed alternative transportation due to her disabilities and issues, I might add. Plaintiffs hereby reassert and incorporate the allegations of paragraphs 1 through 35. Devin Martinez intentionally made physical contact with Miss Villa by striking her face with his fist. The physical contact was harmful and offensive. Mr. Martinez punching Miss Villa caused her serious injury and emotional distress. Additionally, Mr. and Mrs. Villa have suffered economic losses, including medical expenses, travel expenses, and loss of income because of his actions. Under the doctrine of a respondent superior, the Judge Rotenberg Center is vicariously and jointly and severely liable for any and all damages caused by its employee's actions within the scope of his employment. At the time he struck Miss Villa, Mr. Martinez was employed by the Judge Rotenberg Center as a residential coordinator and was acting within the scope of his employment. Mr. Martinez is personally responsible and therefore jointly and severely liable for any and all damages he caused through his actions. This is well documented, by the way, with photos and ER documents. The JRC like to play this little game. They've played it for years, where they will fire someone after they act within the scope of their job. They want to tell you that this is not the norm. But how many cases have we gone through? How many DESI reports have we shown? And the fact that it once went viral about the physical violence, not just through the shocks, but through physical altercations with the students, have we seen? A lot. What does that tell us? That it is part of the culture of the JRC to physically assault the students, not just shock them, not just sleep deprive them, not just the bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons or sleep deprivation. It is normal for the employees to do this, and JRC will only act when they get caught. They then try to scapegoat the employee in question. Cute, right? What brings people like me in is when you have multiple incidents of this being reported, where there are physical altercations with the students, you have to come to only one conclusion. This is normal for them. There are too many cases where we have pulled up the documents and the ER documents that show that these kids aren't just being shocked, that they're being physically assaulted. Far too many. It's the culture over there. But let's move on to count 2, shall we? And then we'll wrap up for this video. Count 2, civil battery, physical prompts, supported guides, and physical restraint procedures. Plaintiffs hereby reassert and incorporate the allegations of paragraphs 1 through 35. On an unknown number of occasions, various Judge Rotenberg Center employees intentionally made physical contact with Miss Villa to control her behavior as part of a physical prompt or supported guide. This actually goes against the IEP, which states very clearly that this is not to be done. Mr. I follow the IEP? Bullshit. Sorry, not sorry. Judge Rotenberg Center employees responded to Mrs. Villa's attempts to physically resist or defend herself from this unwanted physical contact by restraining her. That's what they do. And then they blame it on you and say it's the behaviors. And when you try to start talking about it, that's when they start monitoring your phone calls. Yeah. The physical prompts, supported guides, and restraint procedures were harmful and offensive. The cumulative effort of these repeated instances of harmful and offensive physical contact was what Miss Villa suffered physical injury and severe emotional distress. This in turn caused Mr. and Mrs. Villa to suffer economic losses, including medical expenses, travel expenses, and loss of income. Under the doctrine of respondent superior, the Judge Rotenberg Center is vicariously liable for any and all damages caused by its employees' actions within the scope of their employment. The employees in question were acting within the scope of their employment and carrying out physical prompts, supported guides, and physical restraint procedures. This case is very interesting, folks, because usually the JRC will target one employee in particular and use them as the scapegoat. But they can't do that in the case of Sara Villa, because it was more than just one employee that they can put this on, folks. It was multiple employees over the scope of that time period that she was a resident at that school. So when you got multiple employees deliberately ignoring the prompts that were in the IEP, when you have the Judge Rotenberg Center authorizing this, when it goes explicitly, again, against the IEP, then at what point do you hold the school responsible? When it's not one employee, when you have evidence that it is multiple employees and you can back it up with surveillance footage of what was happening, you can't just scapegoat anymore. That shows you that there is a culture of this that is embedded in the JRC. There's no one they can scapegoat. We're going to go ahead and close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.